The movie industry generally sticks to a strict schedule, especially for films that release at the end of a given year. See, one of the film business's most important release schedules is the end-of-year, fall, and early winter season, where studios release prestige dramas, all in the hopes of hauling away hardware like the Academy Awards, Critics' Choice Awards, and maybe even a Golden Globe. But let's be honest, no one gives a shit about the Golden Globe Awards, because if a trophy was a butt plug, it'd be a fucking Golden Globe. But regardless, the movies released during this end-of-year window are, on average, on a higher creative caliber compared to the rest of the year. And while yes, some of these movies are incredibly pretentious and bait for Oscars in the same way that a local swim team is bait for a school of great white sharks looking for an all-you-can-eat buffet, that was a mouthful, these movies are generally of higher quality. They are quite good and important for the medium's artistic credibility, which is something that has been under fire for a while now. However, there is a big cutoff date for this season of artistic films at the beginning of every new year, starting in January. See, the month of January marks the end of the prestige Oscar bait season and marks the beginning of an industry-wide dump of movies that the industry has no confidence in. If anything, January is basically the movie industry's dumpster. It's the time where film studios push out movies that had poor execution of concept or were just flat-out bad ideas to begin with. These films, many of which are horror movies, are literal cinematic shit shows, and thus January is where these horrid films go to die an unceremonious death via poor box office returns and critical evisceration, truly dumping these movies in the damn trash that is January. Because with January, the freezing weather that's cold enough to make icicles sprout from my tits isn't the only thing that's miserable. Hashtag titsicles. No, January signals the time of cinematic drought, a time where good new movies are definitely difficult to come by. M3GAN, however, bucks this trend, like a hearse with a loose trunk bucking an unwanted coffin, probably belonging to John Wayne Gacy. Because if I was a hearse, I'd spit that shit out like a loogie. This Gerard Johnstone-directed horror movie, like so many of its ilk, was released at the beginning of January. But unlike most other January films, M3GAN, or M3GAN if you want to get literal, had the absolute audacity to actually be an entertaining movie. It made a bold statement by actually being of high quality, and that's ridiculous. This is the month of January, after all. No movie released in this month should be this fucking good. It's against the law. Yet here's M3GAN, a truly awesome horror experience that executes on its concept and thematic messaging in style. It features cutting satire and biting commentary, all while having relatable characters and an abundant sense of fun. And as a result, M3GAN is exceptional genre fare. It's very good. The story alone had me hooked. The plot follows the young girl Katie, who survived a tragic car accident that killed her parents and is now in the care of her Aunt Gemma, who is a career-obsessed woman that works for a toy company. Aunt Gemma's job is to more or less create advanced and expensive toys that are essentially borderline robots, and with Aunt Gemma's career aspirations place a rift between her and her niece Katie. After all, Katie has been traumatized by the death of her parents, yet Gemma is still fretting about work and her job. Though to be a little fair to Gemma's job and livelihood has been placed on a deadline. Her financial stability is kind of in danger. Yet with that said, Aunt Gemma still needs to get her damn priorities in check. She needs to see what is important. But there is a solution here, a clear and obvious remedy that can help Gemma focus on her work, all while comforting her new PTSD-afflicted ward. And that aforementioned clear-cut solution is to create an advanced robotic doll named M3GAN that can be Katie's new friend, all while Aunt Gemma uses M3GAN as a prototype in order to pitch and potentially launch a new product that pairs and connects with a child, which is definitely the most optimal way that you can approach this emotionally delicate situation, because clearly nothing can go wrong here. Obviously. But of course, things do eventually go wrong when the M3GAN bot learns that the world is dangerous and can potentially harm Katie, you know, the person that she is paired with, causing M3GAN to have the need to eliminate those said threats. And from there, you can see where all this goes. The situation escalates, and our characters, particularly Gemma, are confronted by their own personal shortcomings. M3GAN is terrific on a film constructional level. The film portrays the relationship of a distant Aunt Gemma and a sad and lonely niece Katie with believability. It builds builds and ferments tension with ease, and it has a really twisted yet endearing sense of humor, even as our killer robot doll goes stabby as if she were an amalgamation of Chucky and HAL 9000, because truly HAL 9000 would have been even more threatening if he had a pair of hands. And all these aspects combined make for a very effective movie-going experience, because in terms of executing on concept, M3GAN is very good. Yet it's the movie's interesting themes that really allow M3GAN to be a cut above its peers. See, the movie is technically about how parents and guardian figures all too often let products and technology raise their kids for them. Like, instead of spending quality time with their kiddos, these parents and guardians make their kids spend a lot of time alone with the TV, with video games, and with devices that connect to the internet, which is ultimately what the character of M3GAN represents, but to a more literal and violent degree, all while Aunt Gamma accurately portrays that parental disconnect, because, you know, she's a new guardian whose priorities are out of whack. Because while sure there is nothing wrong with a woman who desires to have a career over having children, it is an issue when that said woman actively chooses to take a child in, yet neglects them. Like, obviously, that guardian's whole list of considerations must alter in order to put the child first, because no fucking shit, the well-being of a kid must be ahead of work. And that's a theme and point the movie gets across exceptionally well. While M3GAN is a fun and entertaining horror movie on its own, the film's strong thematic core allows the audience to really connect and engage with the characters on screen. It gives us all a reason to care for Katie's well-being, to be afraid of the Megbot's corruptive and dangerous influence, and to hope that Aunt Gamma gets her shit together. It allows us to become invested in the events on screen, because that's ultimately why M3GAN is worth seeing, unlike most January movies. And with that, that was the video. I hope you enjoyed it. Please leave a like rating, share, subscribe, ring the bell, and leave a comment telling me what you thought of M3GAN. Also, please consider checking out my Patreon page. $1 a month gets you onto this credit sequence, and $5 a month allows you to make quick review requests. The link to my Patreon is in the description. And speaking of Patreon, I just want to thank my patrons, particularly my high tier ones in Samantha Devlin, Mom, and Morgan. Thank you so much for supporting what I do. Love y'all.